We're here in Iceland on a volcanic island standing on the crater of a 20 million year old volcano. But for humans, their story would take place over the next 11,000 years. Once they left Africa, they would start to spread to all corners of the world, using their new cognitive ability, their new brain power, their new cultures, language, and intelligence to utilize tools, the resources, and the land to build cities and towns in which they could live and thrive. Now, with this new ability, they would start to occupy every single corner of the planet. And while you may think that islands such as these that have been around for 20 million years in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean were almost impossible for humans to live, we would see that cities like this one just here would pop up out of nowhere. Humans will become so intelligent and so versatile that they will be able to use the rocks, the trees, the land, the water, and even the fossil fuels that hide beneath the crust of the earth to build cities and civilizations just like this, building roads, factories, houses, churches, and transportation systems that would help them along the way, but they would have a detrimental effect on how the world played out today and what would happen in the future. Let's go down to the harbour to meet Marcos and find out more about how it all played out. Let's go. Now, as we head down to the harbour to meet Marcos, it's important to note that humans and nature are always going to be in competition. And the important thing to note is that humans, unfortunately, will always lose that battle. In 1974, a volcano here erupted, burying the entire city. You can see the remnants of that now. And this problem is going to continue as humans start to occupy more diverse landscapes around the planet, and it will impact the way that we live in the future. Let's head down to see Marcos and understand more about how this situation plays out. And after a long walk from the top of the volcano all the way to the heart of the city down here by the harbour side, it's time to meet our geologist to find out about how humans have impacted the world and what the future might hold for humanity if we continue on the same path. Let's head to the ship and go and meet him right now. We finally made it onto the ship in the final part of this course. And to finish this off, we're going to meet Marcos one last time, our resident geologist, who's going to help us summarize everything we've learned and talk a little bit about the future. Marcos, how are you?
Gavin, excellent.
Such an amazing time with you over the last 10 weeks. Have you had fun?
A lot of fun, really. It has been an amazing time.
We've learned so much from you. Now let's round it up. We're now leaving Iceland. As you can see, we're about to head out of this amazing fjord. We've learned so much from this country, a country that's one of the happiest in the world, a country that has 100% of its energy sustainable. What a great example to the rest of the planet. Now, we're now into a point where humans are starting to populate every corner of the planet. What did they do? How did they shape the landscape and the climate? What did we do as humans? There's now 7.5 billion of us.
So we've been talking all this past few days about how humans evolved and they became more technological and they collectively learned how to harness the energy of our planet. First with agriculture and animals, and then now with the Industrial Revolution we learned about fossil fuels and other ways of energy. So we pretty much populated every single corner of our planet.
And what's our responsibility? So now we are on the planet. There's 7.5 billion of us. We're conscious. The creatures that came before us that went extinct, the dinosaurs, the trees, the plants, the trilobites, They left the planet, they never came back. They were not conscious and they didn't have the brain power to realize that they could change things. What's our responsibility now that we know?
Yeah, exactly right. So every species tries to adapt and gather the resources from the environment until that environment is stressed. And it has happened many times in the past. When a species gets so well adapted, it can stress the environment. And we are doing the same thing nowadays with all of our technological advancement. And as you said, we now know that we are doing it. We are seeing the changes around us. We are conscious. We are seeing this happening. And that is the difference. What you said before. It's not like it didn't happen before that species stress the environment. It's just that we are aware that we are doing it.
And we've really only been doing this intensely for the last 200 years since the Industrial Revolution, since machines and factories and fossil fuels. And we've caused some major damage. It's a tipping point now. We call it a tipping point. We're at a point where we can choose one road or another road. What does it mean to be at a tipping point?
Exactly. I think we as a society are at a tipping point in many ways. As you have said, this has been accelerating. Our constant evolution, our constant advancement has been accelerating through time. So we are now at a stage where we are about to condition what's happening in the future in terms of where we are heading. Not only us as a society are at a tipping point, but our planet is at a tipping point. A lot of the different glaciers that are around us are at a tipping point near melting. A lot of the species and biodiversity that is going down, it's at a tipping point of it being able to survive or not being able to survive. And a lot of the things regarding climate change, regarding the warming of the oceans are also at a tipping point. Once those thresholds are met and surpassed, there is no going back. So as you said, we're at a very important moment in our history.
Now, a lot of children heard this word climate change. The earth is heating, the glaciers are melting, the oceans are becoming more acidic. This is detrimental, this is negative, this is not a good direction. What happens if we don't do something?
So yeah, correct. We are understanding now that this trend that we initiated has to stop. We cannot go as we have been going for the last 100 or 200 years. We need to make a change happen.
Now, the last question I want to ask you is this. We often think of ourselves as separate from nature. We're humans, and that is nature. These are the trees, they are their animals, I am a human. Are we part of nature? And when we know that, what does it change in our mind?
Definitely, we are a part of nature the same way a fish is a part of nature, the same way a giraffe is a part of nature. We have evolved from these eukaryotes that we discussed a few days ago, all into this species that is incredibly complex, perhaps the most complex that has ever existed. And we have the responsibility now being so the case. And we are surrounded by the nature that it's also holding and making all of this possible. So of course we need to appreciate that, we need to care about that, and we need to make what it's needed to be done in order for a sustainable future.
Now, over the last 10 weeks, we've been here with Marcos, and we're very grateful for that. We've been here with the Icelandic people in the Icelandic culture, learning from everybody and everything around us. But what's more important than that is the future is actually in your hands. Children who are watching this, students who are taking this course, remember, the future goes on, and now you understand you're part of a story that goes back 13 billion years, and you have the power to make the next set of years all in your hands. And so with your new knowledge, with this new empowerment you have, we want you to act. We don't want you to go in the streets, we don't want you to demonstrate. We want you to take those very small steps using the knowledge that Marcos has shared and that nature has explained to us to look at SDG number 15, life on land. And we're going to give you 13 activities that we want you to choose. You're going to choose one or all. You're going to work on your own, in a partner, with a group, or even your whole class, or maybe the entire school. You're going to work collectively, because there are hundreds of thousands of children all around the planet doing this course alongside you because the future is yours and we want the future to be beautiful as possible. And it's all up to you. Marcos, it has been the most phenomenal 10 weeks with you. You've taught us so much. Extremely grateful and thankful, and I just want to say thank you.
Thank you very much, Gavin. It was great to be a part of this.
Goodbye.